wins IML title.
So when somebody asks you to help them and their organization, ask yourself.
On our road to Stonewall, Bette Midler.
It's a great world. It's a great world. It's a great world.
Napoleon plays Mr. President. It's all happening out tonight. Join us on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Special guest, Daisy Deadpetals. And your host, fashion designer Carlos Marrero. Lifestyle expert Napoleon plays. Trans activist Aaron Phoenix. Reality star Chef Josie. DJ Diva Power Infiniti. Log Cabin Republican Joe Brookman. And our host, Al Ferguson. It all starts right now, live on It's Happening Out.
Hey girl, hey.
Well, good evening, America, and we are coming to you from the gayest place on planet Earth, which of course means it's another live episode of It's Happening Out, America's most popular live gay talk show. We're so happy you've joined us tonight. We have a jam-packed show. It's going to be a lot of fun. As I told you, we are coming from the gayest place on planet Earth, which means that's Wilton Manor, Fort Lauderdale, Florida, in South Florida. And of course, you see our host, Josie, is still in Bali. She'll be back next week. And Joe Brookman has had a little emergency, and so
it's
you
called
can.
the Mueller report.
Yes, it's the Mueller report, and he's had the vapors all day. We want to welcome you to watching the show tonight. We invite you to like us and share us. How about creating a watch party right now and share with your friends some of the most interesting gay conversation that you're going to see in America. As I told you, we welcome back Napoleon. Napoleon is now one of our permanent hosts for It's Happening
Can't
Out.
get rid of
quit.
her.
Yay! All things accomplished.
And of course, Power is out. And
Wait, she's there.
And Power has
That's
changed.
the third time the show.
changed colors. Of course, as everybody knows, this week and this weekend is Gay Day at Disney, the 29th anniversary of the Red Shirt celebration.
And
in
she's
the Magic Magic Kingdom, and Power is
There are
gay.
rumors.
Headlining the weekend at One Mighty Weekend, our great One Magical Weekend. One Magical Weekend. Our friends there, and also our friends at the Parliament House. And rumor has it some of us will be sneaking up to Orlando this weekend.
The
So we hope
bathhouse.
Power has a great time, and it's going to be a great celebration in Orlando and Disney. And as a result, of course, we welcome the famous drag queen here in South Florida, Daisy Deadpetals.
Hi. Thought I'd give you a little
girl,
Mary
Daisy.
Tyler whore for my debut.
Yes, I was going to say, all you have to do is throw that hat
My
up
hair will
and-
come off right with it.
Right. and
Al
so-
has that problem every day.
I have to say that when I was much younger, living in Miami, I used to watch you on Deco Drive. So I'm kind of geeking out a little bit that
Oh,
you're
yes.
here because I'm a big
Deco
fan
Drive.
of you on
Well,
Deco
it
Drive.
It wasn't that long ago,
Daisy,
bitch.
well, let me
Bitch, for
say,
me, it was like a long time.
Deco Drive was back in the black and white days.
Oh, I love Lucy.
You listened to it on radio, did you?
Yes, I watched it on radio in the rocking chair. Right, exactly. Well, welcome, Daisy.
Well, thank you for having
You're
me.
going
It's
to have
a
a great
hemorrhage
time.
of pleasure.
Great time this evening. All right, let's get the show started. You're going to have lots of fun with us. We're going to do a lot of interesting things. We always begin with the meme of the week. And how topical is it today? Here's our meme of the week. As Donald tells us, he's running for 2020. And Robert Mueller saying, if I were you, I'd run now. We thought that
Oh
was
my
a
God.
hilarious meme because of everybody knowing what happened this afternoon. We're going to talk about in a moment. We always also start our show out something kind of fun and kitschy and positive called The Best Thing of the Week. And look what we found this week. I love that show. It's a gag show, very funny. The priest kissing the groom. Best thing of the week.
We have the
was
best
real.
production team.
Yeah.
I mean, they find this
Congratulations to our
stuff.
production teams. You're going to see many really great things tonight. All right, as we get our show started, we want to ask the question that I always ask. You're going to see the showman or showmaster try to tame the lions again and tigers tonight with what I call Why Are You Still Talking? And each of these are difficult to control. They talk over each other. They don't listen to each other. They sometimes say nonsensical things. Right, exactly. And we try to have a bell, which you'll hear in the show, trying to time out our show. And then we give each one of them this, which is a chip. You're going to hold that chip up. At any point, they
You
can
can get a
throw
beer
a
with
chip
it.
in, and exactly, and you use it at the Seminole Hard Rock Casino. You throw it in, and they buy me a drink, and they get one more uninterrupted minute. But I caution all of you, Daisy, especially you. I
Yeah.
caution you. You only get one for the entire show. So
Anyone
use
else
it.
catching the irony here?
Yes.
All of America.
Exactly. Catch it and use it only once. All right, let's begin. Let's begin with celebrity news. A lot of things happening in the world of celebrity. First, yesterday, Ellen came out in discussing on David Letterman about the sexual assault that she had as a child. And she was sexually molested by a stepfather. And she was quite candid about the effects that it had on her. And of course, we were all encouraged that she was able to overcome the sexual harassment. But there's been a lot of conversation on this celebrity news about the fact of those people that kind of hate in the gay community. Is this the reason she's a lesbian? And of course, studies have proven repeatedly that that's not the case. But in celebrity news is Ellen. Next, of course, is the news about Adam Levine. And this is so sad. He's announced very unceremoniously that he is not going to return. And when he announced it this week, NBC didn't even know that he wasn't returning. He was supposed to return to The Voice this fall, and he said, basically, I'm kind of tired of it, and he is not returning.
Because he's moving to my house with me.
Also, this week in celebrity news, Harvey Weinstein. The trial has been going on with many of his accusers, and a settlement has been reached in negotiations for $44 million is a settlement to the accusers. And I'm assuming, because I don't actually know, in case anybody really knows, tell me, I believe that this is going to begin to bring an end to the saga that took place with the women sexually harassed by Harvey Weinstein.
Hush money.
Yeah, exactly. Final news in celebrity news this week. I know it's a big one. Are you ready? Tomorrow is the finale of RuPaul's Drag Race. It's going to broadcast, no, it's not going to be live. It's going to be tape at VH1. And the finale and the 11th season crown is going to take place.
Team Evie.
One of the, really, that's who you are?
Evie Oddly, who's not a weird person that
Oh, I like
supports
her.
that. I know,
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
She's
She's
incredible.
super
She
cool.
can bend her body. She's got a great story,
Yeah.
and she's the only one that isn't
This has
obnoxious.
been my least favorite, but next week we're going to cover all the fashion from the finale.
Yeah. Oh, you're going to do a fashion
I'm going to
segment.
do a fashion
Oh,
segment
very
on
good.
these queens.
Very
The
good.
personalities.
That's great. One of the things in celebrity news about Drag Race, I thought interesting that it's not so much focusing like it has in past seasons of who is going to win of the three finalists, but rather how many people speak poorly about this season and RuPaul's Drag Race in general, that they're kind of bored with it, which I thought was interesting because it was just 7 months ago that the show won the historic Emmy for Best Reality Show and RuPaul for Best Host. What is it about the gay community where we are just so fickle? We love you and we hate you.
I don't think it's that. I think it was a poor season. I think the contestants were not up to par with the other ones. I don't think it was that.
No, the contestants were fine. Any kind of reality TV show perfects the form, and then it runs that for a couple of seasons, and then people start to get bored with it because you can predict what happens via the editing. It's at a high stage now. We all know what's going to happen before it happens. It's just done out.
But out of all the reality shows, that's the one, because you have so many different personalities, and each queen brings with them several different personalities in their own head.
Except Ariel.
Yes, she barely had one. I think the show was great. I didn't think it was a bad season. I think the challenges were super cool. I think there were different challenges that we hadn't seen before. The one thing I can say about that show is that they have very young queens on now, and they have queens like Brooklyn Heights, who I know and who I've seen compete at Miss Continental, because I'm in my early hundreds. They have
and you say that,
and there's
and
a
you
lot
make
of
that joke like
yeah.
it's not true, because
But
it is true.
it is.
Yeah.
There's a lot of girls out there that could slay so hard, and they gear it towards a much younger audience, which is great, and it's a great opportunity for those young girls.
Do you think older queens should be performing in the contest?
Well, I'm an
RuPaul's?
older queen, and I've auditioned 4 times,
Yeah,
and I would love to do
oh,
it.
you've
Absolutely, I
auditioned
think it's a
4
great
times.
show.
Yes, I would love
It's a great
We'd all
platform.
support you, but I want to go back to
Just
Brooklyn.
suck a dick.
I want to go. Oh, I'm happily will do that every night. But unrelated to that, with Brooklyn, is she
Yes.
really so much of a mean ice queen, kind of a bitch, or do you think that it was a
I've
staged
hung out
Have you
with
relationship?
heard
her
of
one
reality
time.
television?
Do you think she staged the relationship with Vanjie?
Everyone in
I
America
don't think
thinks
she
you're
did.
funny and nice. It's reality television.
No, I've hung out with Brooklyn. She was super sweet, super cool. As far as Vanjie goes, I don't know, but I know Brooklyn did sleep with my friend Athena Dion. Hi, how you doing?
Oh,
that's
and name
so-
So,
drop
and she
number
said it
one.
on the show. She's been a tranny chaser once or twice, 3 times a lady.
Okay, that's funny. We'll all be watching, and we'll see what goes on with RuPaul.
And I would love that
That's
throuple.
our celebrity news. Let's move into the big headlines this week. As we speak live, of course, we have breaking news, and that is the Robert Mueller press conference. Robert Mueller came in front of Department of Justice and said today, I'm resigning. And I do not think what has been said about my report is correct. And basically, the big headline in his report is, if he wanted to say that the president didn't commit obstruction of justice, he would have said he did not commit obstruction of justice. And de facto basically is implying that there's more to come and that it was Congress's responsibility to make that decision and make a decision to impeach. What do y'all think about what happened today with Mueller?
When I woke up and I saw MSNBC, because you think I don't watch news, but I do, and I turned it on, immediately I saw like, oh, he's going to speak at 11. He's going to speak at 11. So I was so excited. I got my lube and my poppers. I was ready to go.
Wait, what?
Yes, I was like, finally, we're going to get somewhere.
You like to get off the
And
Mueller
yeah,
already.
I mean, he's kind of hot, square jaw. Anyway, so I was so excited for him to say, I am going to tell my truth in front
Finally.
of people, and he's a bastard, and he did this and this and this. So I was a little let down when it was time to come to our meeting at noon, because I kind of wanted him to say something more. He said it, but it's always between the lines, and it pisses me off that it doesn't go there.
I should tell America, we were going to show you a little bit of Mueller's press conference today, but we've kind of skipped over it because you'll have the ability, of course, to go onto YouTube or any of the news sites, and you'll see the full video. Any other thoughts about what Mueller said today?
I just can't believe that we live in a country, yet again, that will allow the person that is following up with anything that attacks Trump, shows why he's wrong, to just resign. We shouldn't even allow him to resign, quite frankly. He's been following this investigation for so long.
Support that.
I just don't understand. What world do we live in where this is what the reality
What kind
is?
of pressure must be on him from Trump's team that
my
he feels he
goodness.
has to resign?
They're probably threatening him immensely.
Yeah.
He's basically threatening the rest of the country, but we can get more into that with anything else we discuss that's Trump,
Yeah,
because that's
yeah.
all of his actions
Okay.
and his
All right.
tactics.
Well, it's, I'm sorry, I started to cut you off.
No,
Something
I'm-
else? Okay.
I'm good.
It's certainly big news and the breaking news for today. Second headline that we want to bring to your attention is about It's kind of strange. We just talked about Mueller, and now we're going to talk about IML. Woo! And IML went on over the weekend in Chicago, and big news that the first trans person of color becomes the winner of IML.
Yes.
And we're showing you a picture of him. His
Finally
name is
some
Jack.
good trans news.
His name is Jack Thompson. And I understand from our production, we're going to have him on the show shortly.
Good job, production. The cookies for you.
It's coming out.
Okay, so for those of you...
Wait, unless... I'm sorry, go ahead.
So for those of you that don't know, IML is International Mr. Leather. As Al said, it takes place in Chicago. It was this past weekend. It's always over Memorial Day. And it's one of the biggest, if not the biggest, leather events in the world. It is one that is used as a symbol, as looked up to, for what other leather events are going to be and what the community is going to do with leather as a whole. So the fact that they elected, or rather put forth, the first trans person of color to win the entire contest is revolutionary.
Yeah.
Right now, the leather community is up in arms on Facebook, everywhere else, supporting one side, supporting the other. This is our abortion issue. It's crazy.
It's big news. And when I heard on Tuesday, back from the Memorial holiday, in the production office that a person of color, trans person won IML, I was shocked because I thought they were making a joke. And I think it's fantastic.
Wait.
And of course...
I want to speak more on this because I am greatly involved in the leather community. And one of the things that has happened is a group that I'm a part of locally, the Minotaurs, used to have 30 people in it. And as soon as elections came up to decide if trans people could or could not be in our group, the group split entirely in half. It almost killed our group because this question is so divisive in the leather and fetish communities. I lost a lot of my brothers, not in life, but in this group because they felt so strongly that trans communities, as in females to males, should be allowed in this community. But the thought is that if you're not sexually excited by other people that might not be passing or that you can't tell, Aaron, maybe you can help me out with how it's perceived in wording, but they don't want to be able to be at a play party. Guys don't want to be at a play party if there are women there, even if they don't identify as women, or the reverse, that feel the exact opposite way. It's crazy that we're even having this as a conversation because, yes, it's sex, but it's making other people feel like they're not human. And for me, it's an easy answer. Yes, you allow trans people at your events, but it's not that easy for other people.
I get excited by you cashing your chip in first because it means that Napoleon can't speak anymore through this show, which is very exciting.
He
to
says
me.
taking my chip time from me.
And second, it's very exciting to me because with having Jack Thompson on the show, it's something that we're going to be able to explore in a very interesting way because I do think that there is odds in the two different communities and an opportunity for us to build a bridge and see what we learn.
And shout out to the 2010 winner who was also trans. He was the first trans winner of IML. His name is Tyler McCormick.
What year? 2010.
10.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
This is the first trans person of color.
All right. Continuing.
Daisy IML is Miss Continental for
leather people.
All right, you're putting your chip in
It's
because
a pageant.
I won
Not a
Miss
pageant.
Florida National with
Not
a
a
leather
pageant.
Harley Davidson bathing suit.
All right, very good. All right, continuing in headlines, the Prime Minister of England, Theresa May, resigns. She has basically, Brexit, ever heard of it? Britain is in a world of trouble, and the Prime Minister resigns over the decisions of confidence issues in her party and in the House. And one thing that I would add in terms of the news about Theresa May's resignation, she has decided she's going to stay until 2 days after the Trump visit. And Donald Trump is going to be visiting the UK. I'm sure we're going to talk a lot about it because there's going to be quite the protest movement in Britain and especially in
Do
London.
she and Trump have the same makeup artist?
Right. Yes, true. Same coloring. Next, we want to, in headlines, tell you an update about the first legal gay weddings in Asia. Last week, we reported to you that Taiwan had done marriage as legal in Taiwan, becoming the first country in Asia to recognize gay weddings. And let us show you a little follow-up of what happened this week in Taiwan. Watch this.
实觉得这一路真的是还蛮久的，因为其实我们在一起就是12年多嘛。那其实每一年我们去同志游行，都会就是希望就是去推这个议题。
很久，还觉得很像做梦。
其实我就是一拿到就是马上很感动，对啊，因为就真的从来没有办法想象这件事情会发生在我们的身上，对，就是真的很激动，觉得台湾真的就是这些人就很重视人权啊，我觉得很棒。
Well, it's half a world away, but this is really big news. This is the first country in Asia, the largest continent in the world, the largest concentration of people on the planet, and this is the first country that has recognized gay marriage. We congratulate Taiwan, and we're very excited about what's going on there. Finally, in the news this week, we want to talk about the Supreme Court decision ruling against the Pennsylvania students on the trans bathrooms. The Supreme Court has decided specifically it will not rule or hear any further from the federal district court on the lawsuit that has been pursued by students in a Pennsylvania high school claiming that their rights were violated by having trans access bathrooms. The Supreme Court has sided basically with the federal district court and said the issue for them is resolved, and the fact of supporting the idea that gender equality in a bathroom is important in that school and in general. So the Supreme Court sides with the district court. What do y'all think about the Supreme Court's decision this week?
So the easy translation of that basically is trans students can still use the bathroom and be left alone for it, in theory, at least when it comes to a legal standpoint. Bullying is a major thing no matter what when it comes to school, but it's a major step because the school is saying that we're backing these kids no matter what other kids or other kids' parents have to say about it. And the Supreme Court basically said, we're tired of hearing about it. We're not weighing in. Let it be. And I can't wait until we hopefully have a national standard where we are protecting trans kids across the board, no matter what school you go to, no matter what state you happen to be born in.
Aaron, I'm curious, do you think the Supreme Court's decision of we're not hearing this, we're going with what the federal district said, is an indication of pro-trans rights at the Supreme Court level, or is that going too far?
That might be going too far. That might be a little too optimistic.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of a double-edged sword because it's leaving it in the hands of the states to make their decisions. In this case, that's a good thing because the state had decided to allow trans students to have those rights. On the other hand, there are other states, as we all know, North Carolina, for example, where that's not the case. So if we keep leaving it up to the states, we are leaving children behind.
Yeah, okay. Well, big news, and of course why we include it in headlines. Lots of news this week, and I always like it when we start with the news because it allows me to drink. And of course, it means that we're going to play our game, I'd Swallow That. Now, I'd Swallow That, as you know, is a drinking agree or disagree game. We have them here on the table. Daisy Deadpetals has... Daisy, apparently our production staff didn't explain the rules to you carefully enough.
I totally agree with you.
All right. Well, you're going to miss one of the questions, or we're going to ask for refills. One of the other.
Yeah.
All right.
You missed
yes,
one?
David, we need a refill here. So our agree or disagree game, we invite you to play along at home with us. It's fun. I'm going to ask a question. None of the hosts have heard any of these questions before, and they're going to agree or disagree. If they agree, they pick up their shot, and they take their shot. If they disagree, their shot doesn't get touched, and it does not get touched and stays on the table.
That shit was potent.
Right, exactly. All right, everybody understand our rules? Let's play I'd Swallow That. Here we go. Question number 1. This is written for Daisy Deadpetals. If I don't orgasm during sex, it was a waste of my time.
Yeah, girl.
Now, Daisy, I'm curious, as you take that shot at the speed of light, tell us about, I know you're a world-famous drag queen.
Top or a bottom? Because I'm dressed in a power suit?
Are you, wait, are you a top or a bottom?
I like a full menu.
Okay, you're versatile. Okay.
More of a lady, however. There has been occasion or two.
You're versatile tending to bottom.
There's been a leap year or two where I may have topped something.
Now,
I'm not sure what.
All right. In terms of sex, any broad term sex, by night you're a world famous drag queen. Tell us about what you do during the day.
I have a day job. It's very serious.
That's what a job means during the day. Thank you.
I write pornography descriptions for Helix Studios and their sister sites, Spank This and 18boy.com. Shameless plug.
Now, first, I love Helix Studios. How do you get into a profession like that? So you write the descriptions of the scenes,
but I don't write. Like if you go to a regular website, those would be like 2 lines or whatever. Bitch, I get porn poetry haikus out of that. If you go take
Bitch,
hours
you're like Anne Frank.
Down, like full
You're
diaries.
writing a diary.
Yeah,
right.
And
how did you get into that?
I was writing rants on Facebook, and they were clever.
Don't tell people
and
that has some benefits.
Creative, and my friend was like, "You're kind of funny with that." I'm like, "Yeah." I took creative writing. Thanks to public school.
So in terms of our first question, and I'd swallow that, orgasm and sex were really principally important in terms of your skill set.
Well, it does go with my jobs. Yeah.
Yes.
Totally.
Yeah.
Research.
Yeah.
Okay,
Good.
resources.
Research.
Thank
Yes.
you. And Helix Studios, congratulations for getting Daisy Deadpetals. You're lucky to have her.
I would like health insurance.
All right. That deserves... Everybody, we should be applauding Daisy Deadpetals at Helix Studios.
I am
Right.
a published author.
Yes,
Congratulations
exactly.
on having a
Published
day
author, right. All right.
Nora Roberts.
Question number 2. I'd swallow that. Question number 2. This actually was also written for Daisy Deadpetals.
Are you just trying to make me feel comfortable because I'm the first time I'm a guest?
Yeah. Well, I keep trying to get you
Second
to
time
drink
I'm
more
fucked.
because
I don't think you need to push her to do it.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
You
Question
can
number
rape
2.
the willing.
Question number 2.
Stop offering.
Beer goggles have led to more than a few regrets the next morning.
Did you guys have sex at some point?
How do you think I got this gig? What?
That's why they're all for you.
Beer goggles?
Beer goggles. I know. Really?
I don't even know what that is.
Beer goggles means
You got
because you
drunk and
drank
fucked
so
somebody you
much
wouldn't fuck.
and you had sex.
Did you fuck someone only because you were so drunk that you were able to then fuck them?
No.
Oh.
Carlos doesn't fuck ugly people. As a fashionista,
Whoa.
it's against the law.
Ooh.
I have been woken up and I was like, oh shit. Who you is?
That's what beer goggles are, Mary.
Okay, so
Beer
there.
goggles are. My God, you didn't understand the
Well,
question?
tell the truth and shame the devil. I forgot what it was. I'm sorry. So yes, I fucked some crazy people.
All right.
That's how
Wait,
they felt
I-
seeing you
well,
wake
I've-
up this morning, I'm sure.
I've never I've never let them stay over, so I don't wake up next to them.
Please, child.
Get out.
Oh.
Take that dog with you.
Or I think it was a dog.
Oh my gosh. That was mean and hateful, and I really liked it. All right. I'd
did
swallow
sleep
that.
together, didn't you?
Question number 3.
I love that they get bigger.
Everyone
Yeah,
likes when it
I
gets
know.
bigger.
that.
Production
I
is
asked-
working over
I asked
time here.
production. I said, why is one of the
I got a
shot glasses-
thimble.
Because we're a
they're
gay
trying
talk
to-
show, and the more that you take in, the bigger it gets. That's how gayness works.
They're trying to make him
Work.
funny.
All right. Well, it worked. All right.
Boom.
Thank you. All
With
right.
back with the 1 2.
Right. I'd swallow that. Question number 3. I have done terrible things for.
Oh,
Wait.
All right.
Wait.
All right.
Slow
All right.
down,
All right.
y'all.
You're
Oh
saying?
my god.
I have done terrible things for the people I love.
Wait, for them or to them?
Right.
For the people.
Like you
I
killed
love.
someone for
Well,
just
I
pissing
didn't
your mom
say-
off?
Jesus.
Listen,
Wait, tell me
You
that
got Jeffrey
story.
Dahmer on
Wait,
us.
Barbara Walters kicks in. All right.
No, I'm just saying I happen to live on a dead end with a private yard. I was just wondering where you were going with that question.
All right, Dexter.
Like for them or to them?
I have done terrible things for the people.
Like if you
I
needed me to
love.
knock someone off, I would. Okay. No, I'm not.
No,
I'm not gonna
you
go.
haven't ever done anything magnanimous. Ooh,
No,
ooh.
I believe in karma.
For someone
You can
else.
set that down.
Bitch, I don't
Yeah.
even know that word. That's a hard one. Magnanimous.
Ask Suri.
No one
yes,
drank
Edie.
that
I mean,
shot.
it really
No.
depends
Just
for.
you horrible
I don't
bitch.
think I've
It depends.
Exactly. I'm dying to drink this one.
You know,
'cause
it's a
the bitter
very
one.
sad
That's
day
why.
when
It's going
Daisy,
to.
when Daisy Deadpetals calls you a horrible bitch. You are hitting the scraping of the barrel.
You earned that one. Sister.
Yes, exactly. All right. Really? No one else is going to drink?
Well, for me, it depends on the definition of terrible. I mean, I've broken some laws for the people that I love, or for my community. How is that terrible?
I don't think it's terrible. You ran a red light, girl. Get over yourself.
Listen,
Right.
With
or
the
got
body in the trunk.
or got trespassed from me.
Wait,
or, you know.
does pulling a plug count?
Have you
I don't know.
pulled somebody's plug? You've
No.
done a terrible thing for people you love. Right. Okay.
I ran
All
Marco
right.
Rubio out of
All
his
right.
office once.
Daisy,
Wait,
Oh, you don't love him.
That's a good thing for everyone to
wait,
love.
you did what?
Ran Marco Rubio out of his office
How'd
for the
you do
people
that?
that I love.
Oh, that's awesome.
Okay.
Yeah.
I accept
No,
that.
but I don't think
Drink
it's
the
terrible that
shot.
you ran 'em out.
Wait. Before you do, this is the Marco Rubio "You're an asshole" shot.
Fuck you,
Cheers.
buddy.
Exactly. Right. All right.
Classic
That
game.
is
For
another
coming.
episode of I'd Swallow That, and we invite you to
Well, I
play
still
with
have
us.
more left.
Wait, again, production did not cover the rules with you well.
Well, that's on them.
Daisy.
Exactly.
She
Made out.
agrees. She'd
I
swallow
killed it
that.
too.
All right, let's move on. Let's talk about something new. Let's talk about affirmative action. Last week in the show, we talked about SAT. Now, all of us have taken the SAT or the ACT, except for Daisy, who grew up in Kentucky, and there was no testing at all.
It's a test tube, baby.
All right. This is going to get messy. All right. In SAT adversity scores, we talked about, and we reported in the news last week, that the SAT was providing bonus benefits in an adversity score, where if you were disadvantaged economically or by race or perhaps by gay, etc., they were giving you bonus points for your status of doing your scoring for college admission.
Because their school was shitty?
Well, maybe.
Part of it.
maybe.
That's one of
but,
them.
But
That would be the only reason.
Because that you are disadvantaged and you are inherently disadvantaged.
It's a handicapped for you.
We said last
You don't
week.
have a private tutor.
Exactly.
kind of on the
Last week
school.
we said, let's discuss this because it's 2019 and we don't believe in affirmative action anymore. So the question is, do we need in 2019 in any oppressed minority, black, gay, trans, Latino, poverty, whatever it might be, drag queen? That's the most oppressed of all.
Worst.
Do we need leg up protections and action that is affirmative action in 2019?
I think it
Do we?
depends on whatever your situation is, black, gay, Jew, whatever it is. It depends on your circumstance.
It's
If
not
someone's-
you because you
or what-
control the world.
True. But whatever your
Not this table, though,
circumstance is,
clearly.
if you're like in a shitty school district and there's no jobs, like that'd be great to give a girl a leg up there. And you know, it's if the school's bad, that's not the parents' fault, and they can't get out of it because they can't get a job and they can't make a ton of money. So yeah, I think given the circumstance, not the person's who they are, should be taken into
I
consideration.
feel a requirement to say if Joe Brookman was sitting here at this table trying to channel my best Joe Brookman, Joe would say, look, we live in a world where that is not required anymore. Everyone is equal. Let's all be equal. And you don't get the affirmative leg up.
Well,
What do you think about that?
Here's what happened to me, because when people see me, they see a blonde-haired, blue-eyed Eastern European, which are all true things. I'm not saying that as anything, but it's not really a leg up in any way. What that did to me, as someone who from a very young age wanted to go to college and wanted to get a scholarship and get it covered, that's how I lived my life, it made me start looking for the differences. I found that I was gay. I tried paganism. I was a vegetarian for 10 years. I found anything else that made me part of the other versus part of a community, part of a unity, to try to get that leg up. And it's not that those things weren't true. It's that it made me start to look at myself even more like an outsider. And I think that there must be other people that are doing the same.
Did you feel like you were an outsider and therefore you deserved special privileges because you were?
I felt in some ways that that was more fair, and I understand that I don't have the same levels of oppression that other people do with different skin colors or different other things, but it still felt like, okay, I can't afford this. I need to do what I can to help my parents out, to make sure that my life is a success.
I'm curious, you're going to be, I'm loving this. Listen carefully, Daisy.
Why do you look at me when you say
This fall, you're going to move out of your 20s into your 30s. Is that correct?
Blasphemer.
That's true. I am officially becoming a 30-something this October.
Same.
I expect presents.
All right.
Dirty.
Daddy! We're going to have a new definition for Napoleon.
Man, you know, I've been working out. I've been trying to build up.
Oh.
I would not mind being a daddy. Erin's even looking at me all turned on. I see it.
That looks turned on.
That's my turned on face.
Yeah.
Joe, I miss you.
Yeah. Joe, I miss you. Joe, we miss you. I'm curious in terms of what you said. As you turn 30, and you're not the immature boy that I have mostly known you of.
Pokemon!
Right, exactly.
She still is.
Do you feel like you still need the leg up? Is that required?
I mean, I always want both legs up, so that's really what would be preferred. And everyone else wants that too, I think, half the time. No, I don't always think that I should have it, but I do consider it a handicap still. To me, it is Mario Party giving someone extra stars. It's giving them more to succeed in the beginning.
Wait,
but does that
what?
mean it's judged?
You deserve it. You think you deserve it because why?
I think that when you give somebody more because of affirmative action, that there's just as much backlash, because then other people look at them knowing that they might not have gotten there on their own.
Now, wait.
That's a good point.
You hit a bullseye, which
very
is
much.
what I ask. And it's like, oh my God, I can't believe Napoleon's thinking three-dimensionally. Let's pursue this. So you turn 30. Could potentially your thinking change that you don't need that anymore and you don't want that anymore?
Well, the brand Napoleon Plays will always exist, but part of the joy of that is that it's not just about being young. I am not just someone that's young. I'm not even that young. I mean, numerically,
not
that's
young
true.
anymore, sweetie.
Okay, you're not getting sex later anymore. So no, the point is, though, that everyone can have a youthful spirit and want to learn and want to grow and want people to connect, and that will stay with me. But how I approach that, my brand will be changing a little bit.
Fascinating to me. And here's why, America, as we move past the leg up conversation we've just had using SAT as our example, let's talk about Napoleon Plays for a moment. We have realized that Napoleon.
I think we've talked about Napoleon Plays for the last several moments.
Yes, if you have watched, you know that I've done this segment with him. Napoleon Plays Mr. President, and he has this kind of weird, strange. Kind of I'm Donald Trump, and he can do an imitation of Donald Trump, kind of like how you like to watch a train wreck. That's kind of
love a
like
good
what it
train
is.
wreck.
So let's see where this goes. Let's play another episode of Napoleon Plays Mr. President. Now, I tried to get Mr. Trump on the show. I did. I couldn't accomplish it.
I didn't bring my glam
2
squad.
weekends ago, he was just 22 miles from this set at the Grand Hotel, Fort Lauderdale, the gayest place on planet Earth.
I love how nice you are, and you call him Mr. Trump.
Mr. Trump, he's our president, of course, and only 22 miles away. I couldn't accomplish it. I couldn't get him to come here. So what we did is
went there.
Tune in for Daisy Deadpetals, everybody.
Diva, you, of course, you did an expose.
If a Chinese spa owner can break through those doors, this bitch can't because she white. Okay?
All right.
Sorry.
All right. Y'all are writing your own jokes now. So I decided, if I was going to interview the president, how would I do that where it would be his words and we would put Napoleon's voice in it? So we play Napoleon Plays Mr. President, and we're getting ready to do it. These are all recent quotes with Napoleon playing Donald Trump. So let's begin. First, let's begin the interview. My first question of President Trump was, Mr. President, I hear you have a new immigration plan. Here was his reply.
Democrats are proposing open borders, lower wages, and frankly, lawless chaos. We are proposing an immigration plan that puts jobs, wages, and the safety of American workers first. Our proposal is pro-American, pro-immigrant, and pro-worker.
You're a great actress, Diva.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you, darling.
All right, Meryl.
I pretend to be their friend every
Meryl,
time.
Exactly. Which one was oranger? Is that a word, oranger?
You could call your friend that knows grammar.
Ooh.
Internal joke. He threatens me with improper grammar every week.
Napoleon's very jealous because I have a
It's because you're
doctor of-
underprivileged at a public school.
Damn it.
Exactly right. Okay, well, I followed up with the president with this question. I said, pro-immigrant, that's great. What exactly does that look like? And here's what Mr. Trump said.
All people that are coming into the United States now will be removed from our country at a later date as we build up our removal forces and as the laws are changed. Please do not make yourselves too comfortable. You'll be leaving soon.
You know, I was so scared because I literally thought I was in an Alfred Hitchcock movie at that moment. And I was with Tippi Hedren. Tippi, thank you.
I'm a drag queen. I got to know it.
Yes. And there were lots of birds.
I don't know how you were scared. I feel terrified. I get dumber every little one of these that I do. They stay in my brain forever.
How is that even possible?
On a later note, I didn't know that we had the budget for electronic birds to fly by. I better get a fucking pizza after this.
It's Frank Garcia. I get $20.
I agree.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right? Okay, well, as the birds were flying by, I was trying to think of my next question, and I came up with this. Oh, I see. In other news, have you reached a deal with China yet? And I asked the president about China. Here's what he said.
China will be pumping money into their system and probably reducing interest rates, as always, in order to make up for the business they are and will be losing. If the Federal Reserve ever did a match, it would be game over. We win. In any event, China wants a deal.
Where to go when the president was calling it China. I have been to
Free
China.
clinic?
It's a free clinic issue. Yes.
Sex-crazed pervert.
I expressed to the president that his plan sounded very expensive to me. And I asked him, did that mean because he was spending so much money on that, was he going to cut back on the budget until these problems were resolved? And this is what Mr. Trump actually told me.
Under my administration, we are restoring NASA to greatness, and we are going back to the moon, then Mars. I am updating my budget to include an additional $1.6 billion so that we can return to space in a big way.
Well, the president is going to spend $1.6 billion to put us back on the moon, in space, and on Mars simultaneously. And I said, wow, that's a lot of money. And then I asked the president to be able to accomplish that, because Congress spends the money, have you been able to bridge the gap between Republicans and Democrats to accomplish that goal? And here's what President Trump told me.
Despite 2 years and millions of dollars spent, the Democrats are acting like crazed lunatics ever since the results of the Mueller report were made public. But they knew there was nothing even before the report was started. It was all a big hoax, the biggest in American history.
Thank you, Mr. President, for participating in the in-depth. Really? Is that all we're going to give the president.
I thought he sounded
Spectacular.
kind of fishy.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's all right. SNL, you can reach me anytime.
Yeah.
Just get in touch
All
with
right.
production.
Well, let's thank. This is going to be the only time we do this tonight.
Suck it up.
I know.
That's what he does every night.
That's good advice, sir. Very good advice. Let's thank Napoleon Plays for being Mr. President. Congratulations,
Thanks.
Napoleon.
It's an interesting character study,
Yes,
no joke.
A character study.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
All
he's
right.
not a human. I can't believe that he would be that.
Exactly right. All right. So that's what happened with Napoleon Plays and Mr. President. Let's move on and talk about what actually is happening in Washington. Napoleon brings the strangeness of the space race and other issues. This week, infrastructure was being talked about. And both parties, the Republicans and the Democrats, agree, and we're showing you a slide about this, agree that infrastructure must be focused on. It's good for our economy, it's good for jobs, etc. And between the two parties separate their opinions of what to do by literally a fraction of a percent. A $1 trillion infrastructure proposal is at hand. The leaders of both houses of Congress and President Trump got together this week to discuss how can we put everything aside and decide in a positive way to implement infrastructure in the United States. President Trump, by reports, stood up and stayed in the meeting in the White House for approximately 3 minutes and said, as long as any investigations were going on that related to him, there was going to be no agreement on anything with the Democrats. What's going on here in terms of, we've had gridlock before, but not to this level. What is going on?
Well, I think he was not prepared with any budget whatsoever because he cannot add or read or anything like that. He was completely upset over, I was going to say Nancy Reagan, Nancy Pelosi.
Just say no.
In my dreams.
Just say no.
Saying that he was involved in a cover-up. Can we say Stormy Daniels, taxes, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so he just had a temper tantrum.
It
Thank
was
you.
that.
I can't
Again,
say that
Very
word.
graceful
Again, he had one.
temper tantrum.
Yeah.
And he just threw up a fit because he's a little bitch and he cannot make it
I'm
happen.
curious, Daisy. We have a unique opportunity with you being here tonight. Power, in his drag persona, is very centric in his issues over politics, and Secret Service been involved with him, knocked on his house door,
Really?
and many things.
It was his fault.
You're
though.
next.
How do you
experiences with-
well, that's what I was going to ask you. How do you feel in general being going in?
I got a story.
You have a story.
Picture
all
I
right.
do. Picture it, Sicily. No, well, I've always done, the older I get and the longer I've done this, I like to make it mean something, the shows that I do and such. So, I've done, and I try not to pick a side because I know there's Republicans out there, there's Democrats out there in the audience. So I've done Melania Trump as a character, I've done Kathy Griffin as a character.
Oh my God.
And I do it, whatever's funny is funny. And I don't necessarily lead it to a conclusion of a side. I just show the ridiculousness of the situation. Because that's not my job to, politicize in a bar where you're trying to have a drink and have a good time. My job is to make you have a good time. And if something's fucking funny, it's fucking funny. Madonna's my bitch. And when that girl rolled down the goddamn stairs, I rolled that show till the wheels fell off. So if it's funny, it's funny. And I was doing Melania Trump from a sketch from The Late Show, and a Republican came on stage and grabbed my wig off and screamed in my face the foulest shit that I have ever heard in my life. Mind you, I've snatched my wig off by myself to make a joke, but what he was saying to me and the fact that he felt so empowered to physically accost me on stage, I was shaken.
Wow.
And that's what this dude is doing.
Yeah.
Giving people this physical empowerment to go and harm others.
Yeah.
And that's not
We
cool.
we have talked about this issue in so many different ways, but it's one of the areas that we're going to have to focus on. The issue of giving us permission to treat each other as badly as we're doing on
Not
both
cool.
sides. It's really not cool. It's
No.
really not cool. Okay, well, it's something that we're watching with basically complete gridlock and infrastructure. They both universally agree we need to do and we need to spend the money on, but they won't agree to it because they want to harm the other. The last thing that we would like to do tonight in the show is Stonewall. And we do this segment every week called The Road to Stonewall.
Oh, I love that.
And The
It's
Road
amazing.
to Stonewall is now 1 month away, the 50th anniversary in New York City at World Pride. And again, that deserves more of the
Good,
applause
good,
in
good.
the room of what we're doing. We celebrate a gay icon each week, and this week it's an interesting one because this week is, of course, Bette Midler, and she starts her career out in the Continental Baths in
Love it.
1971 in New York City with, of course, the incomparable Barry Manilow. And we've put together this little thing, the quality of something that we found from the early 1970s is really quite poor. But so this is not a mistake. We are showing you this very obscure interview she did about her
At the
career
bath.
early on in the Continental Baths.
It's like Daisy Deadpetals
Watch
in Deco
this
Drive.
as we salute our Road to Stonewall Gay Icon of the Week, Bette Midler.
Woo!
Probably know her as a very big star today, but you probably also do not know her as a woman who started her career in the gay bathhouses of New York City. Those gay bathhouses are not here anymore, but Louis Young went out tonight to find out what happened to the entertainers and the people who used to be there. Here's his report.
The pictures are black and white, but the performance is living color. This is Bette Midler, as she was roughly 19 years ago at Manhattan's Continental Baths. Before she was a movie star or a Grammy Award-winning recording artist, the divine Miss M was a cabaret performer for a room full of men dressed only in towels, if that. Lou Maletta remembers.
She was just a great performer. She would walk into the club and talk about her bazooms all the time, and I thought that was great. She was a big draw for the Continental Baths. In fact, Barry Manilow played there also, and between the two of them, it was a big draw. It was jammed usually, very crowded.
There was a certain kind of flamboyance that they really did like, and that was a kind of a hyper-emotionalism that I was very much into at the time anyway.
It brought the crowd together. It actually was this tremendously healing moment.
They loved Bette because she had appeared at the Tubs. She was a straight woman ally, so there was a great deal of goodwill towards her. But at the same time, it was like there was a faction saying, what's she doing here? A lot of them didn't want to make friends. They just wanted to establish a political base of gay people.
I was working in a gay bathhouse, and I was...
On your way up?
I was on my way up, and I did not, to me it was nothing. I was so poor. I was working in the theater for $200 a week, and I was so poor. And when this man who owned this bathhouse called me up and said, I'll give you $300 a night, I said, you'll give me what? I was so stunned that there was this kind of money in the world. And when he said, it's a gay bathhouse, is that a problem for you? And I had no idea what he was talking about, so I said, no. No, that's no problem. I love to be funny and I love to be amusing, and I think I just have a queer eye. I didn't, since they have that show now I can say, oh yeah, I have a queer eye too. Oh my God, look at this crowd. 3,000. 3,000 supporters of gay, lesbians, bisexuals, transgenders, and I've met every single one of you. I want to begin by acknowledging the one thing I know you're all thinking right now, which is, don't I look fabulous?
Of course, the video ends in such a perfect way. She proves that she's a gay man at heart because it's all about how she looks. We're very proud of this segment, The Road to Stonewall. So many of our young gay men and women don't even realize, how did we get here? They just assume everything is the way it is. So we do this every week, and this week is no exception as we count down to June 30th, 2030, to the World Pride and Stonewall Parade in New York. Each week as we do this, we ask our host to participate in some information that you might like about our gay icon, and we start with Bette Midler. And Daisy, any thoughts about Bette Midler?
Well, I will say this, before I came out to my mom, and before I even knew what gay icons were, because I grew up in upstate New York, there was no internet, there was no nothing, but I was drawn to Marilyn Monroe, I was drawn to Bette Midler, I was drawn to Madonna, and they were plastered all over my walls. Well, I was a kid in 6th grade drawn to Marilyn Monroe. You can't explain that connection of how somebody becomes a gay icon, but I knew my mom loved Bette Midler. And when I got older, even before I came out, I could afford to take my mom to see Bette Midler.
Oh, awesome.
So I went to see my
Wow.
That's really
Midler
cute.
with my
That's a
mom.
beautiful
That's
story.
awesome.
Yeah. That's an awesome story.
What a lovely
And
story.
it related to, she was like kind of putting 2 and 2 together at the time, and I was kind of coming
making
out.
the connection
Yeah.
through Bette Midler.
Yeah,
That's
it
awesome.
was very cool.
Aaron, tell us a little bit about
Sweetie,
Bette
you
Midler.
want to go see who live? Oh, let me call the therapist. So we all know about Bette Midler's mouth, but she also does put her money where her mouth is. A multitude of environmental and human rights efforts at home and abroad that she supports. One prominent effort is her involvement with the Worldwide Orphans Foundation's program called The Element of Play, and that addresses physical, mental, and social impacts of childhood trauma around the world.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and so Bette Midler once said, if only I'd known that my differentness could be an asset, then my earlier life would have been much easier.
Wow.
Hello.
Boy, doesn't that fall on you. Yeah. Interesting. Carlos, tell us something about Bette Midler.
I'm so excited that we're doing Bette Midler because I'm going to name drop here, but she has 4 of my scarves. Hello. She has
Still waiting on one.
1.57 million followers on Twitter, and her Twitter is like a TV show. She's so entertaining, but she's very, pro LGBT.
Yeah.
And the one thing that I love that she said was on one of her tweets, not like Donald Trump. She said, on the other hand, regarding Pence being booed at Hamilton, remember when that happened?
Yeah.
She said, anyone who says yay to gay conversion deserves to be booed at a Broadway musical.
That's great.
While his wife teaches at an art school.
Exactly.
Hello.
Right. A conservative art school, too. Napoleon, tell us something about Bette Midler.
I have a background in performing, so I had to go with the fact that she's won 3 Grammys, 4 Golden Globes, 3 Emmys, and a Tony. But it was only her recent shot in Hello, Dolly, where she got her first leading role at all. She never had a leading role on Broadway except in Hello, Dolly 2 years ago. That's incredible.
Wow.
I don't think
didn't
you
know
knew that.
And how many awards have you won again?
Thank you. Well, I win one white when I punch you in the face, so I'm sure there's enough haters.
I didn't know that. I feel like, is there a drink?
and
we have a budget.
And the quote from her.
Taken by those damn birds flying by.
Might have been a quote from her, too. But this quote from her is, if sex is a natural phenomenon, how come there are so many books on how to do it?
Excellent.
I passed that to you for you to read some books on it.
I actually read a
He
lot
wrote
of books.
them.
Read a lot of books on sex.
Yeah. The Bible. Ever heard of it? Interesting. Oh my gosh, I'm going to make a Napoleon compliment. Napoleon, I love I love what you said. A couple of reasons why I love what you said.
Am I on a hidden camera show?
I'm confused.
I know, exactly. Gay icons are really important. I come back to this point over and over and over again. So many in our community do not even understand how we get there. I am frequently asked, why are you committed at It's Happening Out to such diversity of your cast? Varieties of different kinds of people. I'm sitting, for example, and I've said this before.
White people ask that question.
White people ask that question.
Al's friends are all weird. We know this.
Stonewall was principally an initiation of drag queens and trans people.
We threw the first brick,
they
bitch. Get
threw
in.
Leathermen were right there with them.
Okay. But my point
you're
is,
in drag too.
Diversity, exactly. Diversity
No, that's
is
the most loving
what
way.
the gay
Yeah,
community
it's true.
is all about. And Bette Midler being straight and not constantly going gay, 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 still, from my standpoint, makes her an icon.
Yeah.
One other thing that I think is super interesting is Bette Midler, at her age in her life, is still reinventing herself. No one mentions what would be the most important thing that she does for me, which is a movie called Hocus Pocus.
Yes!
It is Halloween for the gay community.
Yeah.
And finally, Napoleon mentions something that I've got to show you a slide on that we prepared. He mentions about Bette Midler coming back to Broadway for Hello, Dolly. And it's the first time in her entire career that she has a major leading role. Who the fuck was
did not
not
know that.
paying
It's incredible.
attention?
Did I ever tell you you're my hero?
By the way, Carlos did a lot of illustrating and illustrated Hello,
I
Dolly
didn't know
back
this was
to
coming.
the Broadway, right, for
Oh.
Bette Midler. And that
I
was the
saw
illustration
her
you
on
did.
Broadway.
Did you?
Yeah, that's where I gave her the scarves.
Yeah.
I saved every coin, bitch.
Bring me next time.
Oh, yeah.
It's our gay icon of the week. It's Bette Midler. We're going to share it with her. We hope that she hears the kind words, that we respect her.
Love
as
you,
being
Bette.
a major component as a gay icon on our road to Stonewall. We're very proud to do it.
And I'm an orphan who could use some money. So.
Yeah. All right. So we are at the end of our show. We hope you've had a good time. We've loved having Daisy Deadpetals.
I love
with
being
us.
had.
It's
Oh, wait a minute.
Oh, fucking hell.
Bitch, you're not shutting me down. I have an extra one. I am just so excited that the Duchess of Sussex, the beautiful Meghan Markle, will not be meeting with President Trump during his upcoming UK visit, and she deserves a drink for this
She
queen.
said no.
Okay.
She said no, thank you.
She's like, not meeting with him.
If I were
No,
pregnant, I
no.
would not want my unborn child near him either.
Yeah, exactly.
I love her.
All
There you
right. We are at the end of the show. Thank you, Carlos, for that. And I'm at the end of the show. Okay. And we want to wish everybody a good night and thank you for joining us. I remind you, America, we're coming from the Fort Lauderdale Grand Hotel. This is Gay Central in South Florida. This summer or this coming winter, if you come to South Florida, this is where you want to stay. The Grand Hotel is definitely the partner for the gay community. We're only a couple of minutes from the famous Wilton Drive in the heart of the gayest community and the gayest place on planet Earth. So come and visit us at the Grand Hotel here. At the end of the show, we're actually going to show you a very interesting video about the Grand, and you get to see it firsthand. As we close our show, we do every single week, we invite all of our hosts to say good night, and we encourage you to do that. And on behalf of Daisy Deadpetals, anything you want to say to your fans?
Like a prayer or some shit?
It could be, or whatever
Or
you would like.
Thank you for having me for the first time here as a special guest. I had an amazing time.
Yes.
And a fun time, and it was way better than my fucking family's house at Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Great.
That's what gay family is all
Yeah,
about.
I love you guys.
And
Thank
on
you.
behalf
And
of
want
my-
to slap you all simultaneously.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Then you should stay around.
Perfect.
On behalf
Thank
of
you.
my friend Aaron Phoenix.
Good night, gender fuckers. I didn't use my chip tonight, so catch it on my after hours.
All right.
It's a
And
special later.
on behalf of my friend Carlos Marrero.
Good night, fashionistas, and remember, then a smile, it's always in style.
Oh, that's sweet.
You should try that, Al.
And
Tried it.
on behalf of my yes, it's
That was a
true.
callback.
It's yes, it's true. My friend Napoleon.
We are
Plays.
friends. Good night, Nancy Pelosi. Keep up the good fight. Keep up the good fight because Trump is going to keep trying to blackmail America, and we need you to keep that from happening. Stop those tantrums.
And on behalf of my friend Joe Brookman, he also says good night and I love you, Nancy Pelosi, from the bottom of his heart. No, he doesn't. America, remember, we are very committed here at It's Happening Out to find gay culture, to see if we still have a gay community, and we think we do. And we're exploring it at this show and through our conversation and the diversity you see in front of us. And remember, if it's important to you, it's happening out. Good night, America.
Thank you for having me.